Hi everyone. I hope all of you had a wonderful first week. I know it's been very busy and a little time consuming for some of you, but I think so far things have been going pretty well. The discussions seem to be flowing pretty nicely and all of you are participating and keeping up with everything. So I'd like to start this week off with just a few housekeeping notes. First issue is books. I know we've had a couple situations where a few of you have not yet received your books. Yet some of you received them this week. Please let me know if you continue to have issues obtaining your textbook and make sure that you're continuing to complete your discussion posts on time. As far as the discussion questions go, there have been a couple questions as far as how in-text citations work. There are two ways that I expect you to cite something within this course and within your discussion posts and even in your papers as well. I'm going to be giving you feedback on the discussion posts you had this week, and for the most part, many of you have been doing a pretty good job with your citations. Your in-text citations involve two parts: citing the author within the text itself, which means using the idea from either a book or another source you want to use in your discussion post or your paper. You're going to put in parentheses the author and the date, and then part two, at the end of your text, you're going to list the references, which in this case would be your textbook. If you need any help with APA style references, you can look up Al at purdue.edu, or there are many other resources out there. Just look up APA format citations, and that'll help you out greatly with this week. I've also included an example of an APA paper under the Getting Started tab. There, I also provided a sample of an APA outline for your assignment in week 3. So last week we got into some pretty cool stuff with our first lesson. It was a very basic explanation of cognition and cognitive psychology and how it's compared with the other fields. We discussed extensively about Donder's experiment and how he was able to test and explain the phenomenon with timing between recognition and action. This week, we're going to be getting into a little bit more detail on how we perceive the world around us and how our attention and sensory is selected. That's going to be in chapters 3 and 4 this week. So essentially, all cognition starts with taking in the world around us through our senses. That's touch, taste, sight, sound, and even smell. Depending on how important those senses are or how important the situation is for us to realize that either survival or even latent learning, we devote a certain amount of attention, or in other words, we put one of those 5 senses in to the environment, and depending on the importance, we add additional senses that help us encode and store that memory and specific experience into our minds. We're going to be learning a lot about what constitutes peripheral attention versus committed attention, and later we're going to discuss some popular models and theories of how our memory processing works. The 3 popular theories that we tend to work from are the theory of general memory processing, and that is encoding, storage, and retrieval. The next is information processing theory, which emphasizes from stimulus to sensory processing and how we use selective attention to encode our experiences into our working short-term memory and then rehearse that information and in efforts to encode it into our long-term memory. Then we'll consider Craig and Lockhart's levels of processing theory, which suggests that instead of having sensory, short-term, and long-term memory systems, we only use one memory process, and which is dependent on the depth of our understanding and emotionality of our experience. Anyway, I hope all of you had a wonderful first week and a great weekend, and hopefully we're going to be able to hit the ground running for week 2. All right, well, I look forward to hearing all of your discussions, and have a wonderful week 2.